Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my Daily Dose with Tim. Today is season 2, episode 35. And as you know, we've been actually having not we, I've been having some technical challenges with Facebook Lives over the last few days now. And you know what? I don't want to bore you too much. So today I'm actually doing my headset for the very first time, hoping that the sound is going to be a little bit better for you. And I'm also learning to step back a little bit just because there's something that they're doing with the camera. However, that's not important. What's important is that it seems like the last couple of days, even though I've been having a lot of challenges, you guys are still able to get the content and get the information that you're looking for. So that's what I'm happy about, and that's what I want to hear. And you notice that if you're watching now later, you probably noticed that I actually went live a little bit and had to cut off and jump back on. Regardless, I think we're good now. And so, what is happening is today, as you know, we've been talking about credit scores and credit reports over the last 4 days now. And this whole week, as promised, what I wanted to really share with you is how you can actually decipher your own credit report. However, most importantly, for a lot of us, having this knowledge is awesome. But the other side of all of this is that you now have the ability to actually play with your credit score, if you will. The idea really has always been, though, again, when it comes to credit, it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. And the other side of all of this is, as entrepreneurs, as business owners, as investors, if your credit score is actually too high, what that generally means is the fact that you're not exercising your credit enough, meaning you're probably not active enough. So we want you to get used to that motion, and you don't have to settle for super good credit scores. I know that sounds like a funny thing to hear, and it's a funny thing for me to say even. However, don't settle for a good credit score. Settle for an okay credit score, because that shows that you're constantly taking actions to make sure that you get access to OPM, other people's money, so that you can become the wealthy person you want to become. You can create the financial resources that you have. And that's what we're talking about. However, we went through all 5 factors already over the last few days. And today, as promised, I'm going to go over how to clean up your credit report. So, right now, I am going to use Equifax as my main example right now. I know a lot of you guys are watching from different countries. So, what I would definitely advise you is the fact that you need to go and search for your local national credit bureaus. And credit bureaus are not government entities. That's what I found out as well. At first, I thought it was. Again, that's how green I was into this whole financial education industry when I first got started. However, these are private institutions that have been set up. And so a lot of you guys, you've asked me over the years, and I've asked this exact question as well, is who died and made them kings to be able to rate everybody's credit reports or credit scores, and what gives them the power to grade you? Well, I just sort of gave you the criteria over the last few days. So that's how they grade you. However, who gave them the power? Well, to be really honest, I guess all the lenders probably came together at one point and just got together one night over a few drinks. They decided that it was going to be a good idea. That's a joke, okay? I really don't know. However, that's not the point, because the point is for us, regular Joes, if we want to clean up our credit reports, and by definition, if there's something that you got to clean up, that usually means that there is something on your credit report after you've pulled them. This was homework from yesterday, if you remember. After you've pulled your credit report, let's go over your credit report. And the first thing that you want to look for isn't really necessarily whether or not the information is completely up to date. Obviously, you want to verify, first of all, that is your report. So how it shows up, typically speaking, is that your name is going to be on it. And so if you're an immigrant like me, a lot of times you do have an English name like me as well, or you will adapt to a local name, whatever language that you speak. And so for me, I go by Tim. However, I do have my Chinese name as well. So a lot of the times on my driver's license, on my passport, and on my credit reports, it's gonna have that name on it. Or depends on how you report and your preferred names when you are applying for various credit products. And so those are the names that are going to be used and be reported. And as a result, what's going to show up on your credit report. So you definitely want to check that, and you definitely also want to cross-reference to make sure that the address that they have on you is also your current address as well. Now, that's usually the first step. And the second step is making sure that every single item that is still active. Okay, so now I'm going into active versus closed. Active versus closed. There's usually at every section, it will say whether or not the account is active or the account is closed. And that's what we're actually focusing on today, is that a lot of the times you may have already paid down a loan and you've closed the account, and I think I used a BMW loan as an example because that's the closest example that I personally have to share with you today. So when you find something that you've already paid down and yet it is still showing up on your credit report, so when you go to, for example, in this case, Equifax website, and for us, it would be equifax.ca. When you go into equifax.ca, you'll land on the homepage. And honestly, though, even for me, it's been a while since I go there because I already shared the other websites with all of you guys on where you can actually pull your credit reports and credit score for free. And so it's been a while since I went into to Equifax myself as well. However, they always do their own updates, and so it took me a while to kind of reorientate myself and find what I need to be what I'm looking for. So when you go onto equifax.ca, again, regardless of what country you're watching this from, if you want to just go to equifax.ca, that way I can guide you through that process and really take that and apply onto your local website as well. So go on to equifax.ca, you'll land on the homepage. Then right next to it, you have a button that says personal. So when you click on personal, you're gonna have a drop down menu that comes down. And on the side, on the right hand side, it will say, well, for you guys, probably right hand side, I'm not sure. Right hand side, it would say dispute info on your credit report. So back in the days, this is what I'm really used to, which is you have to download a form, a physical form, and then you can print it out and fill it out. So it will say your personal identification section. As what we were saying, this is your name. So this is the name that you would it's either your given name or the name that you've chosen to use to apply for all your loan products, credit products, mortgage products. So first name, last name, date of birth. Okay, and if you have a unique number based on their files, then you can enter that as well. And you can provide your social insurance number as well. That's what we call it in Canada. I know in the US you call it social security number. So that's what's different there as well. And today's date in terms of when you're actually disputing it, and your current address if you need to update that, and also previous address. They only give you one section here on the printout version of it, and on the online submission form now, because that's something new that they've updated as well. So on the online version, you can also provide more than just one if you move a lot. I remember in the first 12 years of my life in Canada, I moved about 6 times. So I have 6 different addresses. So it would be great for you to provide that to make sure that your credit report does follow you. However, another school of thought has always been, I just need to make sure that they have my current address and the one right before it. Okay. Usually, the rule of thumb that we usually talk about is up to the previous 3 years if you haven't been in your current address for more than 3 years. Okay. So, whatever that means to you personally. And so the next one is public records information. Okay. If you have anybody that is helping you dispute anything, if you don't worry about it. And credit account information, this is where you're going to start to tell them what is wrong with your credit report and how come they have not removed it yet. So I shared an example of using a BMW car loan. And this is now April 10th, 2018. And this was one of our vehicles that we were financing back then. So what it looks like, and not every company looks like this, okay? Not every discharge report will look the same. However, I just want to give you an idea. So I'm going to hold it up to the camera. I blacked out my personal information. However, hopefully you guys can see it's very, very brief and very straightforward. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read out the content so you have an idea of what it should say, okay? So obviously it's going to list out the loan and the collateral first and foremost. In this case, because it's BMW, so the collateral was the car that we were financing through them. And so the subject says release of interest or release of financial lien, whatever it'll say. Okay. And it will say more often than not your name, because it's not going to say Dear Equifax, because you're the one that's requesting it. So here it says, Dear Mr. Tai, please accept this letter as acknowledgement that BMW Financial Services Canada holds no further security interest in the above mentioned vehicle as it relates to your conditional sales agreement. And so please note that we're in the process of discharging our lien under the Personal Property Security Act. And thank you for choosing BMW Financial Services Canada to complement your vehicle ownership experience. We're committed to providing you the highest level of service. If you have any questions, please contact us at this information. So as you can see, it's a very brief, very concise, very straightforward letter. And what you will do now is attach that letter to your dispute form, and you can either pop it in the mail now, or again, if you're using their online submission function, that's all you gotta do. The point is though, before you submit anything, you need to make sure that you get proof that it's been paid down, it's been released, and they're discharging any sort of obligations and lien against you. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea in terms of how this works. If you have any further questions on various platforms, I'm totally open to your questions. And if I don't have the answer, always got a support team around me. So I'll do my best to find answers for you as well. Now, what's really funny also though is that over the last couple of days, this has not happened yet ever since season one. And season one started about what, 5, 6 months ago now. And this is the first time I'm actually getting this, is the fact that some of you guys are asking, hey, Tim, you know what? Love the videos. And are you open to sharing some of the deals that you are doing or you've done and all that kind of things? I'm not going to lie though, when I first got started, yeah, I was sharing with people about what I was doing all the time. And this was actually before social media was even very, very big. And these days, I will tell you flat out, I will not, and you will never, ever, and this is recorded, you will never, ever see me post a deal that I'm doing on social media, nor showcase the deals that I'm doing. And I know a lot of you guys that are big on marketing, especially on social media, you will say, well, that's just stupid, because you can probably get a lot more money, you can probably get a lot more students to do coaching. That's not the purpose of this, because I just want to share this with you. And again, we are all entitled to our own opinions, right? Opinions are like armpits. We all got them, and most of them, oh, mine smell pretty good. I just showered. Anyways, the point is, okay, the point is, I came from a generation, I'll use that word, where when I was taught, because I started so young, most of my portfolio, I mean, in fact, probably over 95% of our entire portfolio and on the properties and the liens that we control is built based on other people's money. I have no need to go out there and showcase other people's wealth. And I know you can say that you don't have to share their names. However, the point is, I came from the generation where I was taught that number one, you do your asset protections properly, meaning you don't put it out there. You don't say it out loud, simply because the moment that you do, especially when you're actually showcasing addresses, it's like putting a giant target on your back. You never know when it's going to happen. And one of my teachers taught me in real estate investing, in business building, is that it's never a matter of if. It's always a matter of when you get sued. And especially if you're playing with other people's money, and I like to use the word play. However, I'm not playing with other people's money, and that's my point. I am managing other people's money. I am helping other people's money work harder for them. And this is how I earned their trust in the first place. I will never, ever do anything that could potentially jeopardize my investors' hard earned money into our properties and our portfolio. So that is the generation that I come from. It's that sense of responsibility. So this is just my response to some of you guys. And I know it's all in good fun. At the same time, I just want to make my position very clear. And you can agree or disagree. It doesn't matter. I'm not here to argue with you. However, I do know that my investors are very, very happy with the fact that none of our portfolio is actually exposed. I may share a picture here and there, never the actual markets, never the actual cities and town, let alone addresses and who's involved. So that's just the school that I came from. That's how I was trained as how to be a responsible, importantly, protective real estate investor for all of my OPM. So that's just something that I want to share with you because this has become increasingly more and a bigger question as well. And for those of you, I know some of you guys are already investors with us and you have been for years, and you know how much we appreciate you, and this is the way we run business, and we appreciate your trust. At the end of the day, what I really want to say here now, though, is thank you for continuing to stay engaged with me. I love all your questions, your suggestions, your recommendations, and your comments. So keep them coming. Next week, we're going to go into a very, very fun subject that is very near and dear to my heart. And I think you can probably guess that already. But I'm just going to leave that here. And I want to wish everybody a great day, a great weekend. And I will be back here with you next week. Live well, everybody.